Hello, welcome to TTV News broadcasts on TayNinhTV radio and television station with some latest event in TayNinhTV province. And now we come into details. Ladies and gentlemen, following the direction of the chairman of the Provincial People Committee, in the first day of returning the working after test, units and the locality in the province deployed to all officials, public employees and workers to strictly implement the medical declaration.
In the COVID-19 medical declaration form, except for the declaration of personal information, the officials, civil servants, public employees and workers also make a declaration by ticking the squares of yes or no in relation to living, traveling to places where confirmed to be affected by COVID-19 pandemic and having close contact with sick people, those returning from epidemic zones, people with symptoms of disease infection or not. In addition, the declarants also self-assess their health situation within the past 14 days, whether there were signs of fever, cough, sore throat, or difficulty breathing. In general, the medical declaration is strictly implemented by units and localities. These medical declarations will be synthesized and sent to the Department of Health for monitoring and serving disease prevention and control.
In the afternoon of February 18, 20 and 21, the Provincial Election Commission had the second session to evaluate the progress of election implementation, approve the proposal of dividing constituencies of the 15th National Assembly, statement on announcement of electoral units, list of constituencies, and number of deputy elected in each constituency of Provincial People Council for 2021-2026 term.
According to the plan to allocate the number and structure of deputies for the 15th National Assembly, TayNinhTV province is allocated 6 deputies to the National Assembly, including 4 delegates residing and working in the locality and 2 delegates introduced by the central government. TayNinhTV Provincial Election Commission unanimously proposed to the National Election Council for deputies to the 15th National Assembly. There are 2 constituencies, each unit elects 3 deputies. For deputies to the Provincial People's Council, there are 16 constituencies. Number of deputies of the Provincial People's Council elected for the term of 2021-2026 is 52 delegates. From now until the election date, the Vietnam Fatherland Front Committee of TayNinhTV province will organize 3 rounds of inspection and supervision of the election work. Mr. Hoa Thanh, Deputy Secretary of the Provincial Party Committee, Chairman of the Provincial People's Committee, Chairman of TayNinhTV Provincial Election Commission, suggested localities to regularly closely check the implementation of the Provincial Election Commission's instructions. Any problem arising should be reported immediately to handle, not waiting for the meeting. Pay attention to the inspection and supervision of the election progress at the commune level, ensuring that the election is strictly implemented in accordance with the law. The Provincial Fatherland Front Committee coordinates with the Provincial Standing Council to inspect and supervise the contents of the election preparation process. It is requested that the Provincial Vietnam Fatherland Front Committee support the Fatherland Front Committee of Communes, Wards and Towns to well organize the consultation conference. For the work of making voter lists, Mr. Hoa Thanh asked the Election Commission of localities to strictly and accurately implement the list statistics, not exceeding more than 4,000 voters at one polling point. He assigned the Department of Interior Affairs and the voters subcommittees to review and agree to make a list of voters. Head of the committees review the plan to closely match the reality, rights, functions, and duties. Propaganda Subcommittee examines propaganda contents. It is expected that the epidemic can still last until the time of election, so the House Subcommittee must develop scenario plans that ensure both the epidemic prevention and the successful election. In 2020, Hoa Thanh focused on implementing the basic construction works in the plan. The progress of implementation and disbursement of public investment in basic construction was did well, completing 100% of transitional works in 2019. By 2020, the total investment capital for basic construction was nearly 247.6 billion Vietnam dong, ranging for 321 work items. The implementation volume was over 250 billion Vietnam dong, reaching more than 101% of the plan. The disbursement value in 2020 compared to the work volume reached 100% of the plan, increasing nearly 41% over the same period. In 2021, Hoa Thanh will focus on mobilizing and exploiting our investment resources for synchronous development of socio-economic infrastructure, especially transport infrastructure associated with urban development and new-style rural construction.
Facing the complicated situation of COVID-19 pandemic, the Provincial People Committee issued the directive document requesting units and locality to enrich electronic document sending and receiving among state administrative agencies in order to prevent and control COVID-19.
Accordingly, the chairman of Provincial People's Committee required the provincial department and branches, the People's Committees of districts, towns, and cities to strictly comply with the Prime Minister's instructions on enhancing the document processing via network and the direction of Deputy Prime Minister Vũ Đức Đam to send and receive electronic documents. Strengthening the electronic document sending and receiving with paper copies in accordance with Article 6 of the Regulation on Receipt, Processing, Distribution and Management of Electronic Documents among agencies in the state administrative system in Ninh was issued together with Decision number 52 dated December 16, 2019 of the Provincial People's Committee to minimize the risk of infection through contacting, exchanging, sending and receiving paper documents. The chairman of Provincial People's Committee assigned the Department of Information and Communications to regularly monitor the application infrastructure, network, equipment, and security system at the Provincial Data Integration Center to ensure stable operation, information safety and security, and minimize interruptions in sending and receiving electronic documents. In the period of 2021-2025, Ninh will strive for 100% of Level 3 and 4 online public services to be integrated into the National Public Service Portal. In this period, the province will step up the application of information technology in state agencies towards serving the people better and better, enhancing people's satisfaction. The province strives for 100% of agencies and units from provincial to communal level to be invested in upgrading, completing the architectural framework of the Provincial e-Government 2.0, completing data integration and sharing with national information systems and database through the data integration and sharing access. In addition, it also strives for 100% of popular online public services at Level 3 and 4 related to people and enterprises to be integrated into the National Public Service Portal, 100% of transactions of the portal and the electronic one-stop shop information system at the provincial, district, and commune levels will be electronically authenticated. 100% of the province online public services reached Level 4, provided on a variety of means, including mobile devices.
Ladies and gentlemen, the COVID-19 pandemic prevention and control is being carried out practically in the province. With the aim of close surveillance, speedy tracing, not allow the epidemic to spread since that holiday up to now, right after returning to work after the Lunar New Year holidays. The production and business establishments, agency, units, commune, work and towns have implemented the impediment prevention solution under the direction of Provincial People Committee.
The steering committees for the epidemic prevention and control of communes, wards and towns in Ninh province have strengthened COVID-19 epidemic prevention and control measures at the place of residence, workplace, production and business establishments. The People's Committee of the World has a steering committee for COVID-19 epidemic prevention and control and has also deployed to each neighborhood, each self-governing population group to capture information as well as advocate for people if they return from the epidemic area coming to the workhouse station to make medical declaration and congratulate instructed. This is regularly done and reminded. When people return to work after the Lunar New Year holiday, the number of employees moving from one locality to another is large. So without careful supervision, there is a high risk of spreading the COVID-19 epidemic. Therefore, in official dispatch number 435, dated February 16, 2021, the Provincial People's Committee has directed and assigned specific tasks to each department, branch, unit, and localities to well implement epidemic prevention and control measures, especially the production and business establishments with a large number of employees such as construction sites, factories, food and beverage shops. The World Steering Committee has established each quarter as a community monitoring group to propagate its family, its self-governing group led by the head of quarter. When there are citizens from other places coming the area, the head will be reported to the steering committee. Then the standing steering committee will direct the medical station to coordinate with the local police to mobilize them to make medical declarations according to regulations. The medical report will help the local health agency and the steering committee for epidemic prevention and control to promptly localize and quickly trace as the occurrence of an infection. Community supervision groups and residential groups have brought into play their role and their responsibility in implementing the current special task. This year, the epidemic is more widespread and serious than before, so people should not gather and hold a crowded party in the quarter, wear masks as going out. Whenever someone from the epidemic area returns, they must make a medical declaration. Along with preventing people from entering illegally on the borderline, TayNinhTV determined that the COVID-19 epidemic prevention in the inland at this time was drastic. Closely supervising people coming from the epidemic area, thoroughly implement the 5K principle in Vietnamese under the guidance of the Ministry of Health, promoting the role of the community monitoring groups and the responsibility of each citizen. It is impossible to ignore subjectiveness when the COVID-19 pandemic is quietly but developing strongly every day.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's all for today's news. Thank you for being with us and goodbye for now.